Do you have sandpaper people in your life? Loved ones, associates, people that get on your nerves or cause you trouble? Or even maybe loved ones or people that you care about that are the prodigal blazing down a sketchy life path and you really worry about their outcome. Have you been the person that gets on people's nerves? We all have. Also this question, have you been or are you the prodigal? So today we're going to talk about sandpaper people and just people in our lives that are maybe causing us a lot of issues or worry and just ways to deal with that in love. And I'm Nurse Ann. I'm a certified emergency and mental health registered nurse on the front lines for many years and still going. So follow this channel because it's full of inspirational wellness for your mind, body, and spirit, helping you break out of thought and mind struggles and just being creative and advocating for yourself and others and so much more. So we're going to jump into this today. We got some amazing resources to help us learn about dealing with those relationships in our life that are difficult. And as always, at the end, there's a bonus and a prize, and I'm going to tell you about that in a minute, so you will need to stay to the end for that exciting bonus and a prize, and I'll tell you about that soon. So as I said, I'm Nurse Ann. I'm a certified emergency and mental health registered nurse on the front line. So we're going to jump into this today. And the first one, we're going to get into a book called Sandpaper People that really breaks apart this issue that we're talking about. But I also want to remind you, if you're in a situation where you're not safe, whether physical, mental, or emotional, you do need to seek safety and healing. And so number one, I want that for you. So a lot of these situations, I'm not talking about where you're being abused or unsafe, but we're going to talk about those day-to-day relationships that are annoying or difficult in ways that we can look at those in another way and deal with those. So we're going to start off with Sandpaper People. I've had this a long time. It's very helpful by Mary Sutherland. And she asked, God, why did you put these problem people in my life? So we're going to go through some excerpts of this, and then we're going to get to the bonus and a prize, which I'll tell you about soon. So in the intro, she talks about the biggest problem in the world. And we live in a problem-filled world. However, you'll be thrilled to know that she's discovered the biggest problem of all. People. She says, in my opinion, if there were fewer people, there would be fewer problems. Do you ever feel like that? Some make it easy. Every day we face the daunting challenge of getting along with people. Some make it easy and some don't. Some are kind and gentle, encouraging and replenishing, while others drive us to the brink of insanity and beyond. It might shock and dishearten you to realize that the roughest sandpaper person in your life may very well be living right under your own roof. And that reminds us whether someone is close to you, is getting on your nerves, or maybe you see them blazing down a sketchy life path and you're really worried. Remember that we've been that too. Maybe we were the prodigal or are the annoying person or have been, and that we can all work on that. And I heard something encouraging in a sermon today talking about we can look at people through his eyes, through the eyes of God, and just think about the way that Jesus came towards people. So that person could be living under your own roof. The only possibility more disturbing is that we are the sandpaper people. Understanding that we can all be abrasive at one time or another is an important admission in the quest to effectively deal with difficult relationships. However, there are those people who live in abrasive mode day in and day out. So the bonus and the prize at the end, this is coming up soon, as I read you a quick, action-packed chapter of my published fictional drama where you're going to ride along with the frontline workers rescuing those in crisis of mental, physical, and spiritual. Because we all deal with our own crisis of mental, physical, and spiritual. That's why this channel is here for you. So make sure you follow, like, leave your comment as we go today. So let's be honest, she said, some people are more difficult to get along with others. They rub us the wrong way. I call them sandpaper people. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and sometimes they are us. We try to change them, run from them, ignore them, and even take a stab at fixing them. If only it were that simple. It rarely is. When it comes to these problematic relationships, She says she has good news and bad news. The good news is that sandpaper people, or the bad news is that sandpaper people are forever with us. The good news is that God has a plan for us to help us get along with people who rub us the wrong way. By making the choice to love as he loves, we can turn these sandpaper people into velvet people, and in the process, learn how to love the unlovable, just how God loves us. It's crucial to note that God's relationship principles are rooted in and flow from a personal relationship with him. When we are called to wage peace. Jesus beautifully illustrates this truth in the selection of his 12 disciples, and they talked about how they were a mixed bag of different people. So we're going to get into thinking about harmony and peace in our relationships, demonstrating the reality of God and total acceptance and wholehearted commitment to other people. So let's get into this. Some of the chapters that will help us think about ways to get along with difficult people is number 1, be loving, recognize their worth. And we'll get more into that. Be humble, choose against pride, be accepting, love them just as they are. And that doesn't mean that we stay in, as I said, abusive, emotional, physical, or mental situations. We need to be safe and have that healing and therapy. But there are people that we can't change anyone. So be accepting, love them just as they are. Be encouraging, become their cheerleader. There's a lot of people that are difficult or angry, and maybe they, usually they're coming from a place of hurting people, hurt others, and we can maybe encourage and be their cheerleader. Be patient, learn to endure. That's a hard one. Be forgiving, forgive and forget. Be caring, meet a need. Be peaceful, wage peace. And be confrontational, care enough to confront. And there are times when we do need to come to people in love to let them know if we're concerned about maybe a life path that they're on that's not very good, that's going to lead to danger. Be strong, develop endurance. Be thankful, thank God for them. And be committed, refuse to walk away. So we'll get into some of the principles of that, and then we'll jump into the bonus and the prize. Make sure you're following this channel for your inspirational wellness, and leave your comments. So the first one is be loving, recognize their worth. And the verse for that is Ephesians 2:10, we are God's workmanship. And she talked about an artist who was in a park and was painting people and saw a disheveled homeless person, but the artist actually painted the person how they thought they could, their true identity and how they could be in the future. And I believe when the person saw the painting that it did help them change their life. And then we talk about different people where maybe they are committing infractions in their life or things that are not the best for them, or even going against us. We can still have that agape love for them. We can, and talked about how Jesus pursued the woman that was caught up in a life of that, but we can actually pursue people in kindness and not just wait for them to come and ask for forgiveness or whatever, because that's not always going to happen. Jesus valued the woman. We can value other people. Everybody does have their own inherent value, and they can bring value to every interaction, whether it's teaching us to be more humble, teaching us about ourselves. We can all learn from that, or just learning ways to be kinder, choosing them and helping them to change if they are ready for that. And she said that we call it mercy, but it's God's forgiving love. We call it fate, it's God's caring love. We call it kindness, it's his accepting love. We call it death, it's his proven love. We call it the plan of God, it's his perfect love. We call it heaven, it's God's rewarding love. We call it eternity, it's God's unending love. And number 2 is be humble, choose against pride. We all have to choose that every day. It's hard to not let our pride take over. And she talked about this one. There's some highlights from here. Recognizing the power of grace, by the grace given to me, where we're reminded to show other people grace. And it says it's a paradox in God's design for life that in order to be strong, we must choose weakness. In order to be first, we must be content to be with last place. And in order to genuinely accept and love sandpaper people, we must relocate our position in life to the lowest place possible sometimes. That is part of being humble. Our offended heart cries out through our sheer humanness for justice to be applied in the life of that difficult person. However, sandpaper people do long for and even desperately hope for that mercy. As I said, we've learned that hurting people hurt, and some people are just projecting onto others to try to cope and survive. And so we can remember humility and mercy. And pride's goal is to make us independent of God, duping us into believing we're in control of our own fate and able to call our own shots. So when we show humility and grace, sometimes people's demeanor can soften under that grip of the grace that we've also been given. And sandpaper people know much about guilt and little about grace. Nevertheless, grace is what they seek. I know how hard it is to respond with grace when the actions of a sandpaper person push you over the edge, but that is exactly the place where grace should thrive and shine best. Again, this is from Sandpaper People by Mary Sutherland. It's a very helpful book. Take charge of your mind. And this has to do with breaking down the pride and finding ways that we can learn. Be a kingdom thinker. Look through the eyes of God and how we can help change the world and bring that grace and mercy to others. Practice accountability. We all can have those accountability relationships with each other, even discussing and getting help for the difficult situations of people in our life. We can also serve others in kindness. Just find maybe ways of helping others or listening, showing that kindness and eye contact and serving. So pride sets up a relationship for failure. Pride and arrogance fuel conflict and erect emotional walls. We have to choose against pride and for humility in dealing with sandpaper people. And number 3 is be accepting, love them just as they are. And as I said, that doesn't mean that we succumb to, if someone's living in an angry or wrong manner, that we're not going to be a part of that, but we can accept them and love them as they are. And that verse is love one another as I have loved you, from John 15:12. And this is also reminds us where God's love comes in, that we cannot allow others to define us. We must stop trying to control, change, and define others. It's imperative that we understand we cannot base love for these difficult people on feelings, which is but based on God's love. So we do have to choose that. And she added love with no PS. A lot of times we could write a paper or a letter and then add a PS, but we're showing this kindness and love without expecting something in return. Choose faithfulness. Choose to forgive. Love that chooses forgiveness is the only choice that sets us free from the change of anger, resentment, revenge, and bitterness. We don't want to get our hearts and our minds into that locked up place of anger and bitterness and unforgiveness. And as I said, at my website, nurseann.com, you can see it in the description. There's a lot of resources there to help us break out of those mind battles of anger, unforgiveness, and just being stuck. So I'll see you over there. Choose to sacrifice. There's things we can do to help others. Choose to restore, helping to restore others, and choose to love the way that God loves. Love is patient, it's kind, it doesn't envy, it's not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs, love never fails. And that's from 1 Corinthians. I'm sure you've heard that. And then the next one is 4, be encouraging, be their cheerleader. 1 Thessalonians 5, encourage each other and give each other strength. Hurting people hurt, and a lot of times they push people away in their lives, and so they don't have a lot of people to cheer them on. And we can do that by speaking life, words of life. My last podcast was Speak Life, where we learn how to speak life into our own lives and the lives of others, because there's a lot of people speaking negativity and discouragement our way and others' way. So we can learn how to speak life and give those words of life. That can really help cheer and encourage someone on. And understand that our words and a tongue is a gift from God. So we do want to use that for blessing, and recognize the power of the tongue. And Proverbs 18:20 says, what you say affects how you live. You're going to be rewarded by how you speak, and what you say can mean life or death. Those who speak with care will be rewarded. And I was also reminded in the sermon today, where we're seeing through God's eyes, that I don't remember the verse, but if we want to be forgiven and treated right, we also have to forgive others. Relationship building. Our words can build or destroy relationships. So we want to have those building blocks. We don't want to destroy relationships. And check our heart. The mouth speaks the things that are in the heart. Good people have good things in their hearts, and so they say good things. But people that don't, they might have things that aren't nice in their hearts. And that's Matthew 12:34. And guard your mind. Guarding your mind can help guard what you say and how you think towards others. And there's a great verse, Psalm 26:2, that David cried out, "Test me, search me, God, examine my heart and my mind." And we do need to do that prayer and that soul searching for God to search our own hearts, whatever bitterness or anger is stored up in there, so that we can work on healing for that, getting that out so that we can treat others kinder. So that was 4. And number 5 is be patient, learning how to endure. And the Lord's servants must be patient with difficult people. And that's in 2 Timothy 2. Instead of trying to control sandpaper, we must be patient, because patience is more powerful and more valuable than control ever will be. That's something to think about. Instead of trying to control sandpaper people, we must be patient, because patience is more powerful and more valuable than trying to control others will be. It's better to be patient than powerful. It's better to win control over yourself than over whole cities. Proverbs 16. A patient person is a powerful person. Patience comes from within, is not dependent upon external circumstances. Patience is the capacity to endure because of a controlled inner strength. The question is, how do we unleash the power of patience in our lives? Number 1, recognize God as the source of patience, learning through our circumstances. God's tool to carve away mindsets that aren't right for us could be to arrange or spend our relationships. And our response to sandpaper people would drastically change if we adopted, the perspective of building into everyday schedule margins of time that allow for divine interruptions. And I say that a lot from the verse, as we go about our day, we do want to take that time to notice what other people are going through and not be so rushed and always on the go. We have to find that time to notice others. And sometimes we're in God's waiting room to learn about people and who and what we really are, emerged from the unique pressure that only a difficult relationship can bring. Choose to be patient. Patience begins with a choice for patience before the need for patience occurs. Since sandpaper people are forever with us, the question is not how to eliminate the difficult relationships in life, but how we can patiently respond to the people who rub us the wrong way. Patience learns to laugh more. The book of Proverbs is rich with the benefits of joy and laughter. A relaxed attitude lengthens life, and a cheerful heart has a continual feast. We need to approach the difficult relationships in life with joy and laughter. When it comes to dealing with sandpaper people, our watchword should be lighten up. A sense of humor encourages patience, and patience always thrives in a joy-filled heart. So yes, we can develop those joy-filled hearts and use humor in an appropriate manner. In Philippians 4, that we're reminded we can learn the secret of being content in any and every situation. And we can do all things through God who strengthens us. So we're first loved so we can be lovable, and we're first forgiven so we can forgive. And number 6 is be forgiving, forgive and forget. Be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiven, even as God forgave us. We have to remember that. And we can be remodeled by God and help others remodel their life. We can take the initiative in that. forgiving ourselves first, forgiving the debt because we've had our debts forgiving, practicing acceptance, and pursue reconciliation. A lot of times we want to wait for that other person to come first, and we do want to be safe and have appropriate boundaries, but we can initiate forgiveness. Number 7, be caring, meet a need, and we will be rewarded by that. And sometimes that can break down the barriers in the walls in someone else's heart when we care enough to listen and meet needs. Who is our neighbor? Our neighbor is everyone. Oh, she wrote that, see the need, and she wrote, I wonder just how many sandpaper people are in fact angels sent by God. How many angels have we missed because we were too busy to see them? And we can fail to see the needs around us when we're always in go-go or looking at our self mode. We're almost at the bonus of the prize. Hang in there. We can feel their pain and feel compassion for others. Everyone's going through struggles. Taking action. I'm going to get through this quickly so we can finish. Making a long-term plan and following up. It's important to follow up with people. Sometimes we might just say, oh, I'm going to pray for you or give them something quickly. But if we really want to show caring, follow up and see how that's going. People need a hand of compassion. Are you willing to be that hand yourself? They don't need more condemnation. They need compassion. I know that we like people to be compassionate and forgiving toward us because we can be the annoying sandpaper person also. Number 8, be peaceful, wage peace. And Proverbs 25, those who don't control themselves are like a city whose walls are broken down. Recognize the power of anger. It's an emotional warning light, alerting us to the fact that something is wrong. We might be hurt or frustrated, rejected, or wronged. Simply put, something has changed and we don't like it. So we can learn about anger and work on that, because it's not only is it hurting relationships, but it's hurting our physical and emotional health to hold on to that anger. Learn how to deal with anger, admit when we're angry, and delay our response. Step back when people are being not so nice to you. And Proverbs 19:11 explains people with a good sense restrain their anger. Harnessing anger is controlling anger instead of allowing it to control us. Proverbs 29:11 says, a stupid person gives free rein to his anger, while a wise person waits and lets it grow cool. So stepping back, taking a walk, praying, whatever we need to do. We can pray for the person or circumstance that caused our anger, exercise for 20 minutes, play a game or go for a walk or a jog, run an errand in order to have a short, silent retreat. And she gives more about maybe taking a bath, breathing and counting to 9, thinking about different verses and quotes in our life that help journal our feelings, taking that walk, using a punching bag. So this is part of our discipline in learning how to have a soft answer. In the last podcast in Speaking Life, I talked a lot about Proverbs 15:1, which says that a soft answer turns away anger and wrath. So our answers don't need to be harsh. They can be soft and gentle, and that will help soothe people's anger and can maybe change the situation. And as I said, I'm a nurse on the front lines of emergency and mental health. And that verse has meant so much to me because I deal with a lot of angry people, even people that want to hurt frontline workers and staff. So it helps to remember that Proverbs 15:1 reminds us that having that soft and gentle answer, stepping back, showing respect and kindness can go a long way. So being peaceful, waging peace, controlling our anger. And then the next one is number 9, be confrontational, care enough to confront. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. So I've noticed that it could be especially in families, sometimes we don't want to get in those arguments, or so we can sweep things under the rug. But if you see someone, it's not that you're always nagging or always picking, maybe just pick your battles. And when you see something that's causing danger in someone's life, finding those gentle ways to bring it up and just being an example in your own life, because that's very important if we are true friends, and basic needs of people. And the goal is having unity and confrontation, not combat. So sandpaper people love a good fight and often mistake combat for confrontation. The two are not the same. Don't succumb to the misapprehension. Combat slowly erodes and splinters, while confrontation is a precision act that, when done correctly, improves and strengthens relationships. It's our responsibility to bring confrontation into the picture when dealing with sandpaper people. There's a right way and a wrong way to confront. The success of any confrontation depends on understanding the difference between the two. And that's something we can learn and study. If you love someone, level with them. If we're not careful, we can be drawn into the world system for resolving conflict. That system is called retaliation. It's from the pit and it smells like smoke. So we don't want to retaliate and try to get over and get back and revenge. We're going to leave that to God, and we're going to learn. We do have to put up boundaries and walk away sometime, and we have to be safe, but we don't have to retaliate. Confront with the right motive. Confront in the right way. Always begin with affirmation. Be willing to take your part of the blame. Express hurt, not hostility. Make clear, direct statements. Avoid using the words never, and always listen. Really listen to the other person's point. This does work. And be solution-centered. Confront at the right time, with the right audience and the right mindset. So learning the art of confrontation is so important if we're to develop and cultivate relationships that please God and encourage others. But sometimes even the best confrontation doesn't help. So we can still check on them, show that act of service or love, pray for them. Prayer is so powerful, and give them time and space. We're created to live in harmony and peace. God calls us to wage peace in every relationship. Part of winning the battle is learning to confront sandpaper people in the right way, God's way. Confrontation that is done in love will change lives, save relationships, and honor God. So this stuff is really important to learn. And number 10 is be strong, develop endurance. Yes, this can build our own lives to learn about ourselves and to become more emotionally resilient. I do have podcasts also on emotional resilience and other things. So the verse is, he gives strength to those who are tired and more power to those who are weak, in Isaiah 40:29. So choose peace over worry. Give all your worries to God because he cares about you, in 1 Peter 5. So choose peace over worry. Choose humility over pride. 1 Peter 5, be humble under God's powerful hand, and he will lift you up when the right time comes. Sometimes sandpaper aren't peaceful people. They're rough around the edges because they're not at rest. So we can help choosing not to be worried. When we live at peace, we're paving the way for difficult people to encounter peace himself. Choose knowledge over ignorance. Control yourselves and be careful. Identify the true enemy in the situation. Use the right weapons, which is going to be peace and love, emotional intelligence, and emotional resilience and grace. Choose character over comfort. Character and our integrity is one of the most, probably the most valuable thing next to your relationship with God. Being able to look yourself in the eye, because you know you're walking in integrity and character, then you can look others in the eye and also be advocates and tools in their life. Number 11, be thankful. Thank God for them. No matter what happens, always be thankful, for this is God's will for you, in Philippians 4:6. So being thankful, looking for opportunities to be thankful for others, and learning about our own lives. We're almost done. Choosing thanks. Put thanks. They're all good days. It's what we put in them that will change them. When we put Thanksgiving into a relationship, that relationship will change. Being thankful also brings God pleasure. Being thankful deepens our trust. Being thankful frees us from having to understand our circumstances. She said she heard Chuck Swindoll say, the sovereignty of God is our security blanket. What a beautiful picture of God's dominion. When we understand that God is really in control, everything changes. We can face the questions of tomorrow and the shadows of yesterday. The future is filled with possibilities and the hope of heaven. Our soul is at rest. Don't you want a soul and a mind at rest in peace? Our soul is at rest in each step filled with joy when we stand on the truth as God is not only willing and able to work, but already at work through our difficult relationships. So being thankful transforms tragedy into triumph. That can happen for sure. Being thankful strengthens our prayer life, and being thankful seals the victory. Number 12, be committed, refuse to walk away. Let us run the race that is before us and never give up. Hebrews 12. So, as I said, you know, in an abusive or unsafe situation, you do have to sometimes walk away or step apart and get safety and healing for that. But in the other type of relationships, being committed, people that are angry or sandpaper people are so used to people exiting their life, just giving up on them. So we can be committed and refuse to walk away. Sometimes it is just easier to give up and walk away, but when we hang in there, sometimes they can find that someone is committed to them, and God honors commitment. This can be a gift to unwrap when we see the beautiful changes. You don't throw, I liked this one too. She talked about something in the movie Seabiscuit. She was watching the movie, minding her own business, enjoying a brief time away, when a character's words soared off the movie screen and slammed into my soul, yanking me back into the tenacity and the unceasing power of truth. And I like this. You don't throw a whole life away just because it's a little banged up. So you don't throw a whole person away just because they're getting on your nerves. And that is the gist of Sandpaper People by Mary Sutherland. So now I know we've gone long, so I'm going to get into the bonus and the prize so you can go. Also at my website, I have a lot of devotionals to help us deal with all these issues with mental healing, battles for inspiration. There's also spoken word and medicine for your soul. And so that's at the website nurseann.com. That's Ann with an E, and you can see it in the description. So now we're going to jump onto the bonus and the prize. And in my free time as a busy nurse, I created this 6-part drama series to highlight the struggles that people go through in mental health and emergency in our own lives, in our community, church, loved ones, families. Get a drink of water. Very healthy. Okay, so we are on book 3. I'm not going to go back through the others because we're running out of time, but just to let you know, it is in one book, the Mental Falls First 6 Stories edition. It's almost free, and it's easier because all the stories are interconnected, highlighting different struggles. And it's also in an audiobook to make it easier. And it's the Mental Falls First 6 Stories edition. And it was narrated by Drama Simpson, who brought it to life with siren noises, action. It is written and created to be a television drama series, so it's full of action, adventure, advocacy, and awareness, danger, suspense, romance, faith, and inspiration. So let's jump in so you can go. We are on chapter 15, Wednesday Fun. And this is the Mental Falls, A Tent Under the Bridge. It's the 3rd story. After his first counseling session, Leon joined the others in the ministry room. Jonathan was going to motivate the group to get started on the homeless housing project that he wanted the church to partner with. Lita was nervously curious why Leon had arrived before her. Why didn't he want to ride with me, she sulked. Imagining he wanted to break up, her thoughts ventured far away from listening to the speaker. Jonathan presented all the plans for helping the organization to start to construct the tiny homes. The group was all in. Even Lita perked up when the group leader asked if anyone had any ideas of someone they could help. The caseworker thought of many of her clients who could benefit from the ministry. She noticed that her nurse friends were also mentioning some of the homeless patients that they worked with. Watching his beloved from across the room, Leon noticed a look of concern on her face. Even though he didn't want to make a scene by changing seats during the presentation, he went for it anyway. As he noticed her tension seemed to melt away, he knew this was the right decision. He put his hand in his pocket to make sure the tiny ring box was still in place. Soon, he thought to himself. After the presentation, the leader opened the floor for discussion. Excitement and ideas flew around the room like a tornado. Even Leon mentioned that he'd picked up a lady recently that could probably use a home of her own. Mars shot him a knowing look across the room. He also remembered the wild-eyed lady he had taken to the emergency room on his first paramedic mission. Mars pondered how easy that mission had been compared to all the adventure and drama he witnessed this week. I think I'll invite Maria to help with this housing project, he thought to himself. He had gotten to know his paramedic partner a little better during the week. In addition to being super cute, she displayed kindness and integrity during their missions. Not to mention, after talking about her constantly, his mom, Jenna, really wanted to meet her. Kylina's ears shot up when she heard Leon mention that he talked to the maintenance supervisor at the girls' boarding home. He was all in and would be at the first workday. You mean Terrence? She asked a little too eagerly. Her friends giggled when Leon replied, Yep, you know I've got your back, Kylie. Kylina immediately daydreamed about a work outfit she could wear for the project that would be functional but cute. Ponytail or bun, she imagined. The group continued in the spirit of fun while they had a potluck meal together in the dining hall at the church. Leon thought how much more he enjoyed this than the old bar and drinking scene. Lita was beaming from ear to ear, and she didn't even have a clue about the diamond in his pocket that was meant for her hand. I told you there's romance and inspiration in here, along with that danger and action. On the other side of town, a different type of fun was unfolding. Wearing her fresh outfit from the thrift store, Abigail took a taxi to secretly pick up her daughter for the outing. She'd even showered first at a nearby gym. She was the one that lived in a tent under the bridge. As she waited for the taxi down the street from the boarding home, the butterflies were making her stomach queasy. Where is she? Did she change her mind? Worried Abigail. Before the worry took over, she looked up to see her beautiful daughter standing next to the taxi. She scanned her from head to toe and noticed a slight bump under her shirt. So she really was pregnant, thought the mother of the taxi guest. I'll find a way to talk to her about that later. As the two rode to the ice cream shop, they attempted idle small talk. Abigail noticed Julie seemed to be a reserved young woman, a little guarded and suspicious too. After they sat down with their treats, Abigail asked gentle questions to try to get her long-lost daughter to open up. When Julie finally started to answer, she had her own questions. We're almost done. Mama, where have you been? Where do you live? Is it a nice place? I want to see it. Can we go tonight? Not wanting for Julie to see her subpar dwelling, Abigail didn't know how to answer. Julie seemed to pick up on her mother's reservation. Silence filled the air. Abigail didn't want to lose this opportunity, so she took a bold chance. Okay, we can go to my place, she offered. The homeless woman wondered what she had just offered. Should I just take her to a hotel, she wondered? As they enjoyed their ice cream, Abigail knew she didn't want to lose her baby again. Julie was finally opening up. So Abigail confessed. Okay, Julie, I'm actually in a tent. I was embarrassed to tell you. I'm trying to save up for an apartment. It's okay, came the unexpected reply. I'd like to see it. Can we go now? What do I do now? I can't lose her again, thought her mom. So off the two went. They were headed on an adventure to Abigail's humble abode. Seeing her daughter smile was fuel enough for the unknown mission. And next chapter is 16 deadlines. On the next, this is full of action adventure. Make sure you're following this channel for your inspirational wellness, along with that action adventure advocacy and awareness. Leave your comment today about how you're going to work on sandpaper, people. And I'll see you at the next NurseAnn.com podcast. Have a great day.